Hey guys, Robin here, and welcome to the first movie review in quite a while. Now, mm, now, the reason why I've been gone for so long, why you haven't seen a video from me in a while, is because two weeks ago my laptop's computer charger stopped working, and its replacement was supposed to get here the Friday before last Friday, but on Friday, it got delayed until Monday. It got delayed until Monday, and then it still didn't come on Monday, but it finally arrived last Friday, and um, and until then, and until it got here, my I pretty much get stuck with my iPad, which has half the screen shattered. But I eventually had to stop using the iPad because for some reason it started glitching and bugging out so badly. Like 80% of the time, it would do literally everything except the one thing that I wanted to do. If I was trying to open Discord, it would open either Rubby Bird, this puzzle game I have on it, this this Godzilla Flappy Bird game, and then even when I dig on Discord, it would just type random gibberish into where you into where what you're typing types up, and it even pulled up and not even kidding, I I swear to God this happened. Scouts honor, uh, good Scouts honor. It would at 3 times. It pulled up my friends' profiles and started calling them. So I was like, okay, you know what? That's it. I'm done with you. But I have my computer back. And today I'm going to be in the past I reviewed the Andromeda Strain, no, which is an adaptation of a Michael, which is an adaptation of a book by Michael Crichton. But the first movie I'll be reviewing today, yes, there's going to be a double feature. Okay. Now, but the first movie we're reviewing today was actually written and directed by him. That movie is the 1973 sci-fi western Westworld, starring starring James Brolin, Richard Benjamin, Yul Brenner, and oh god, Robert Oppenheimer, I think, not to be confused with the Oppenheimer that developed the atomic bomb. Um, Now the premise of Westworld is there's this highly technologically advanced theme park where people can go and they can spend a lot of money to indulge in whatever fantasy they want, with the choice of 3 parks: Roman World, Medieval World, and the titular West World. Now, the whole Wild West look is done using robots. This is done using robots who are programmed to not harm people until something happens, and then the robots, until something happens, the programming fails and the robots start malfunctioning and killing the guests. And so people are basically running for their lives from whatever gimmick. So we have a futuristic theme park where people are running for their lives from the gimmick that drew them there and wants to kill them. Now, I did mention that. Now, I did mention that this movie was written and directed by Michael Crichton, and 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 it's the idea of a futuristic theme park breaking down, and the gimmick attracting people to the park, killing them. Seems like a very similar adaptation of a Michael Crichton book. Yep, what Westworld is pretty much Jurassic Park, only with malfunctioning robots instead of dinosaurs. And Westworld came out in 1973, 20 years before Jurassic Park. Yeah. Now, the two humans that we follow, um, uh, James Brolin's character is named John, John, John Wayne. I mean, John Blaine, and his friend, Richard Benjamin. And anyway, James Brolin's character has been at the park multiple times, but this is Richard Benjamin's first time at the park, and and um and there's a few times over the course of the film where Richard Benjamin has a lesson then from the encounter with the gunslinger, which is a robot that challenges people to duels, and is programmed to be a slow drawer so that the guest can outdraw draw and shoot the robot. And yes, the guns in Westworld are loaded with live ammunition. And you may ask, okay, and you're probably gonna ask, okay, how exactly do they prevent someone from just pulling out a gun and killing another guest, even by accident? Well, the guns in Westworld have a sensor on them that detects that if it detects a certain temperature coming off of what is pointed at, the gun won't fire. It'll just go click, click, click. And out of all the questions that Westworld pops up, and all the questions that you're gonna have after watching this, don't bother asking them, because the question of if the guns have live ammo, what is stopping people from killing other guests, is the only question that ever goes answered in the entire film. Okay? The only question that's answered in the film. The rest you'll either have to figure out for yourself or just disregard and just go with the flow. Now, now, now the look of Brenner's, now the look of Yul Brenner's gunslinger character, um, it's based off of the appearance of his character, Chris Adams, from the Magnificent Seven. Yeah, there he's right there. You can put the two of them side by side, and you can really see, like, a comparison there. Yeah. Now, now, of course, the robots. Now, of course, the robots break down and they start killing all of the guests. They start killing all of the guests. Now, unlike medieval world and Roman world, where swords, daggers, maces, clubs, whatever, all you have to do is just be able to run faster than the robots. However, given that Westworld has firearms like revolvers and rifles, it becomes a bit of a challenge for our two protagonists. Now, I can't really go further into detail without spoiling the entire film. But one thing I really should mention is that Westworld was actually the very first feature film to use CGI. Yeah, what was the very first feature film to use CGI, and it was also the first film to have the idea of a computer virus as part of the plot, although it's never really called a computer virus in the film. Because the first true computer virus that infected computers outside the lab where the virus was created wouldn't happen until 10 years after this film. So Westworld is ahead of its time. The movie even set in 1983, although you'd have to read about that online because nowhere in the film itself that I recall, it's never the year of the year the movie set in is never mentioned. Now the CGI in Westworld is only there. It's only ever used if we are seeing something from the point of view of the gunslinger, and it is very, very pixely. It's very, very pixely. In fact, there's actually an explanation for how they did it. Let me just, Okay, so Michael Crichton originally went to the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, but after learning that 2 minutes of animation would take 9 months and cost $200,000, keep in mind that this is 1973 when a brand new computer was the size of a room and could cost 4 times the price of a brand new house. Yeah, computers were few and far between. But anyways, he contacted John Whitney Sr., who in turn recommended that his son, John Whitney Jr., The latter went to Information International Incorporated, where they could work at night and complete the animation both faster and much more cheaply. Whitney Jr. did digitally processed motion picture photography at Information International Incorporated. I'll call them Triple I from here on out, to appear pixelated in order to portray the gunslinger android point of view. The approximately 2 minutes and 31 seconds worth of cinegraphic block portraiture was accomplished by color separating three basic color separation plus black mask. Each frame of source 70mm film images, scanning each of these elements to convert into rectangular blocks, pixels, and then adding basic color according to the tone values developed, and the resulting coarse pixel matrix was output back to film. Now, now on top of being ahead of its time, and being the very first film to not only use CGI but also reference computer viruses. This movie was also very influential because the idea of a killer robot relentlessly pursuing a target and killing everyone that gets in his way was also the basis for the titular robot in a little film franchise you may or may not have heard of called The Terminator. Yeah. So, so, so it's entirely possible that without Westworld, we may not have gotten The Terminator. I mean, we probably still would have, but Westworld certainly helped. Okay. Now, I highly recommend Westworld. Because I can recommend it if you are a fan. I can here is the most likely basis of a recommendation for this film. Okay, if you are a fan of the Westworld TV show that HBO has going on right now, definitely watch this. Definitely watch Westworld, okay? Yeah. But it's come to my attention that the show has started to incorporate elements of Westworld's sequel, Futureworld. Yeah. Yeah. Now, because Westworld was such a hit at the box office, it became MGM's top grossing film that year. A sequel was quickly greenlit called Futureworld, but during pre-production, MGM backed out to focus on Logan's Run, and the sequel was picked up by American International Pictures. The film was released in 1976 and set 2 years after the original film, placing it in the year of 1985. But unlike Westworld, where it looked kind of sort of timeless, Futureworld, even though it's set in the then future of the mid 1980s, it still looks as 70s as ever. Like everyone in the film is wearing bell-bottom pants. Is wearing bell-bottom pants. Peter Fonda, best known for Easy Rider, is wearing these like huge glasses. These huge red glasses. Now this movie is very 70s and of its time, but but it's not a bad movie, you know. But it's not a bad movie. But it's not a bad movie. But apparently I don't know where I read this or who said it. But this is not considered to be like a direct sequel. It's more or less another chapter in the Westworld story. Now, Dallas, the company behind Westworld, they've completely revamped. Um, they've completely revamped the park. All the robots have new programming. Westworld, Roman World, and Medieval World are back up and running alongside two new theme parks, Spa World and Futureworld. And and newspaper reporter Chuck Browning, played by Peter Fonda, and TV reporter Tracy Ballard, played by Blythe Danner, whom you may know better as the mom from Meet the Parents, as well as Tara Walton from Paul. This was one of her earlier films, and now the plot to Futureworld is while visiting the park, they find out that that Dallas is actually planning to clone world leaders as robots, have the robots kill their replacements, have the robots kill their original, and take their place so Dallas can basically take over the world. And now and now Futureworld, like Westworld, is also ahead of its time in one way. Futureworld was the very first feature film to use 3D computer generated imagery, which is comprised of very early CGI and animation on the monitors, one of which is a CGI. We see footage on a monitor of a CGI face, which is from the 1974 CG animated short Faces and Body Parts, animated by Fred Park. And one monitor is also displaying a wireframe mesh. Of a left hand, and that is actually footage taken from the very first the very first 3D CGI animation ever created, a computer animated hand from 1972, made by Ed Catmull, who'd go on to found Pixar. But anyway, back to Futureworld. Now, for the most part, this is an okay sequel. It's not better and it's not worse than Westworld. It's just kind of eh. Now, there are two little problems I have with this film. Now, at one point, we are shown footage of the Westworld disaster, and it's very clearly footage taken, and it's very clearly cinematic footage reused from Westworld. I mean, it's straight up cinematic footage. We see they actually show like a shot of the gunslinger walking down a corridor from the first film. And speaking of the gunslinger, Yul Brenner actually did reprise his role for the sequel. Unfortunately, he only appears in a dream scene. Unfortunately, he only appears in a dream scene. Yeah, and this version of the character is so far removed from the original gunslinger that they might as well have not even bothered getting Yul Brenner to come back. I mean, yeah. And what really sucks is that Futureworld was Yul Brenner's second last film. His final film was this crappy unofficial Italian Death Wish sequel, and then he retired from acting on the big screen. But at least he got to make out with a young hot black Dana, so that's pretty cool. Now there is a pretty cool uh bit towards the end where Tracy and Chuck actually have to fight their respective clones, and these clones are just like them in every way. In every way, Chuck Browning is a terrible shot with a gun, and so is his double. But yeah, I mean, if you like Westworld, definitely give Futureworld a watch. Just don't expect Futureworld to have. Just don't expect Futureworld to have robots going crazy and killing everyone at the park, because that doesn't really happen. Well, thank you all for watching. Now, if you made it to the end of this near half-hour double feature, thank you all for watching. I'm glad to be back. I hope that this double feature review has made up for my time away. Now, I'll be seeing you all again soon in the near future. Peace.